and welcome to The One Show with Alex Jones.
And Matt Baker. Now, our guests tonight are both heavy hitters in their own rights. But if they were pitted against each other, well, who would come out on top? It's time for a face-off.
Bring in the mic. Here we go. From Leeds, weighing in at 112 pounds, she's the Olympic and world featherweight champion who started fighting with the nickname of Babyface, but not anymore. It's Nicola, the Lioness Adams!
Weighing in at pounds, he is the Hollywood heavyweight whose knockout performances include Tony Blair, Brian Clough, and Sir David Frost. It's Michael, the Welsh Dragon Sheen!
He's a catty man. Good to see you. Welcome. Come and have a seat. Hiya, Nick. Hello. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Good. Come on in.
Hiya, Nicola. Come on in.
Well, there we are. Now, we understand you've never met before,
No,
but Nicola,
I
you're a big fan of a certain character that Michael played. Is that right?
I am. Oh, the Twilight movies.
Twilight.
Unbelievable.
I thought you were going to say David Frost. you went to the
I went to
premiere of the last one?
Yeah, I did. Really enjoyed it. Is there going to be another one?
Yeah, it's just about a vampire from Wales called Arrow the Blood.
Okay.
It's just his life. It's just all it is. It's a one-man show. No, I don't think there's going to be much more, to be honest.
Sadly.
Damn it.
Oh, dear.
We heard today, Nicola, that you have got a Barbie doll.
Yeah, I have,
So you've been immortalised. I mean, this was big news to me. I was very excited. Have you got it with you? Have they given you one?
It's actually in my hotel.
Did you forget to bring it, Nicola?
Yeah,
did you
I
not get an
I'm
email?
so sorry.
Now,
Well, that's the first bit of the show gone down the
I know,
pan.
right?
The surprise is that I'm the Barbie doll.
Yay! Does it have bendy arms and can it punch, or does it have straight?
Bendy arms, looks like me, like same haircut, same hairstyle.
Fantastic.
Little trunks, little boots. It's so cool. It's a mini me.
And you take it everywhere with you, apart from the One Show. Anyway.
We're pleased to have you both here. Thank you very much. Now, also tonight, she topped the charts with Clean Bandit and Rockabye. And tonight, she will be performing her latest single, Friends. Anne Marie is here.
And we are going to be connecting with the rest of the world. These are TV's newest agony aunts, everybody. They are the stars of a new show. It's called The Secret Helpers, where they use their worldly wisdom to give advice to Brits when they all need it most. They're live from across the globe.
They are. And tonight, they could be helping you because they are joining us live from their home countries, as Matt said.
Yes.
So let's meet them now. We're going first to Italy to meet husband and wife team, Chiara and Gennaro in Italy. How are you both?
Hello. And we are very well. Good evening. Nice to meet you all.
Happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary! Bon anniversary! Oh, no, that's
They should be out having a lovely anniversary meal, but they're on the One Show
exactly.
instead.
Now, they want to hear from you if you've got an issue with cooking or romance is the problem.
OK, let's say hello to Lillian, who's in Norway. Lillian is a yogi, a life coach, a motivational speaker who does a mean downward dog, we understand. So if you've got a question about making a life change, then send it in to us and we'll put it to Yogi a little bit later on.
We will indeed. And finally, for everything else, there's New York cops Mark and Joe. How was your shift this afternoon, chaps?
Oh, pretty busy. We got a big snowstorm here.
OK,
Look
well,
forward to
apparently it's going to get worse, according to the BBC Weather Centre.
Oh,
so,
don't put a dampener on it now.
hopefully the line will stay for the rest of the show.
So that's your lineup. If you need any advice, get in touch, and those people will be answering you later on in the show.
Yeah, now, Michael, we understand it's been a very busy couple of days for you because you've been at Parliament, have you, this afternoon with a report?
I was at Parliament this afternoon. It was very posh. There's a new report that I commissioned that came out today from the Royal Society for Public Health about the impact on the mental and physical health and well-being around certain credit products, and particularly what's called high-cost credit. And so we launched the report there and had people who are interested in that issue, and we talked about it, and it was fantastic.
Well, we'll speak more in a short while, but Joe met up with Michael in Glasgow before he launched his big idea to tackle the problem.
I'm in Glasgow, spending the day with Michael Sheen, but he doesn't want to talk about his latest film. Michael is here to launch his End High Cost Credit Alliance, which brings people from across the finance sector together to tackle Britain's debt crisis.
What's the key issue here for you, Michael?
Well, the key issue for me is fairness, really. For a lot of people who don't have the same kind of access to like mainstream credit, they find themselves pushed towards what we call high-cost credit lenders.
With UK households currently owing nearly £200 billion in consumer credit, Michael wants to see fewer people turning to high-cost lenders. Our first stop is at the home of mum of four, Lynn Mullen.
Hello, Lynn.
Lynn, like many others, felt she had no choice but to use a doorstep lender.
If you need stuff for the kids or for the house, and it's the only chance you can get to get the money is by getting credit.
And did you look at things like what the interest payments would be up front?
No, I never ever looked at that. No, just...
So when did you first start to kind of feel like it was starting to become a bit difficult for you?
At times that you couldn't pay it and you had to miss it. They were bombarding you all the time. Come to your door or phoning you and you were hiding behind the door. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It did get to you.
Lynn's not alone. Last year, 1.4 million people borrowed from doorstep lenders, pay weekly high street stores and payday loan companies.
Now, Michael, I found Lynn really interesting, partly because there wasn't much awareness of what the exact APR was. For her, it was all about flexibility, wasn't it, I think?
Not necessarily thinking about paying more than twice the amount of what you originally...
Or what would happen if she misses a week, or how things can go wrong.
Yeah.
Typical high-cost annual percentage rates can range from 270% right up to over 1,500%, depending on how much you borrow and over what period. For example, if you borrow £300 and pay it back over 52 weeks, you could end up paying back more than £550, almost double. But for many, it's a price they feel they have no option but to pay.
In this day and age, it shouldn't be happening, I don't think, but a lot of folk are in that situation, but they have to.
They've not got any other salaries coming in, so they have to go in to these companies and buy stuff for their houses and that.
No way can they pay what they're asking. So they're paying it back for years and years and years, so they're only getting deeper and deeper and deeper in, and it's ridiculous.
Almost 50 members make up Michael's alliance, which include lenders, regulators and public health bodies. They all say they're committed to delivering fairer finance.
You want to make it harder for people who are being irresponsible about what they're doing and overly exploitative. But you can only do that, crucially, if you also support the companies that are trying to give a fairer deal to people and being more responsible about it.
Michael takes me to one of the companies in his alliance, Scott Cash, a not-for-profit social enterprise which offers financial help to those who need it.
Our nearest competitor might charge something in the region of 600% APR, whereas we're around 116%. Of course, if you borrow £50 for a month, the APR on that is much higher. And that may sound quite high to a lot of people, but actually...
when you've got a credit card which is maybe 20%, or you get a bank loan which is 3 or 4% maybe.
Exactly, and we're not comparing with mainstream credit. What we're doing is comparing with high-cost lenders.
But why couldn't it be lower still?
Small loans are more expensive to administer than large loans. So you find that mainstream lenders tend to shy away from that market, and it's left to the high-cost lenders.
One person who says she's now benefiting from their services is Lynn.
I don't have to worry anymore. Somebody at my door, phoning me, telling me I've got to pay extra, or I've got to pay double. I don't have all that hassle anymore.
And the APR that you're paying still looks quite high, but it's a lot lower than it was. Do you notice the difference?
Yeah, I notice the difference a lot because I'm paying my loans off a lot quicker.
High-cost credit is unfairly targeted at those who can least afford it.
As he launches his alliance at the City Chambers in Glasgow, Michael says it needs to act fast to help more people like Lynn before the financial crisis deepens.
The levels of household debt are just unsustainable. It's affecting individuals, families, local communities, and it's dangerous for us nationally. We have to sort this out.
Well, Shirley Kramer, CEO of the Royal Society for Public Health, who have published today's report, joins us now. But let's talk about this quite a bit further, Michael. Obviously, you're very passionate about this. Where did all of that come from, and that interest in this come from?
Well, I suppose, as I'm sure you both know, that with a bit of celebrity, people start saying, "Oh, will you come and have a photograph taken, support this project, lend your name to this or that." And so over the last sort of 7 or 8 years, as I've been doing more and more of that kind of thing, certain things come up again and again. You know, you hear stories about stuff, and I started to hear more and more about debt, about having troubles with paying stuff back, worrying about the stress of it, and especially around these sort of high-cost credit things. And so I started to look into it a bit more, and eventually I was starting to hear family members talking about it, friends talking about it, you know. And so as I looked into it, I realised what a complicated subject it is.
I was going to say, it's a very complicated world to put yourself in when you're not into finances yourself.
And it overlaps all kinds of things. I mean, you just look at, talking about in the film of APR, you kind of go, what the hell does that mean? You know, there's a lot of complication, right? It's a lot of difficult stuff. But as I started looking into it, I realised there was a lot of great work out there, a lot of people trying to create a fairer deal for people who do find themselves cut off from mainstream credit, you know. And so what I started to do was to put this alliance together to bring a lot of those people who all have the same aspiration, which is to bring the cost of borrowing down for people who have trouble, you know, affording it, and get them working together a bit more and trying to do lots of different things all at the same time, rather than everyone doing great work individually and it not quite getting through.
So how do you see then that alliance working going forward?
Well, I suppose one aspect is to work with someone like Shirley. So. The public health hasn't been part of that discussion officially, really, about the impacts of certain credit products like payday loans, like unarranged overdrafts, doorstep lending, weekly payment stores. We know they're difficult for people financially, but now, with this report, we know the effects on our actual health, and we need to make sure that there are recommendations taken up by government, by regulators, to try and look after our health. I mean, it's us we're talking about. You know, as soon as you start talking to someone about money trouble, the first thing they start talking about is, the stress, and I wasn't sleeping.
And over half of the people that you interviewed in this report, they're skipping meals.
Skipping meals, they're depressed, they're socially isolated. That was one of the really big findings, that people feel the stigma, they feel judged by a payday loan.
Well, it's hard to talk about anything financial,
to talk about this
isn't it?
issue.
You know?
So with the depression, and you've got anxiety around it, sleep problems you've mentioned, 1 in 10 has gone to a food bank for the first time when they're involved in payday lending and some of the high-cost credit. So it's a really... We've tried to quantify all of the things that can happen to you if you're taking out these. And we've never looked at it in that way. This is the first time all of that information has been brought together where we can actually say this has an effect on your health and well-being.
So you can see it now then?
In a different place.
And when it's there in front of you, what kind of recommendations are you looking at to try and help this situation?
Well, we put a parcel of recommendations together, and one of them I think is really critical, and that's to stop the lenders, the high-cost credit lenders, really marketing hard to people who are already paying these loans off. So they may have 7 or 8 loans and then you get bombarded with texts and emails. That could be done via regulation. That needs to stop. We need financial literacy in schools so that, I mean, young people have no idea when they come out of school about insurance, mortgages, any of these things, let alone high-cost credit and the problems they can get from that. We know many young people take out these products. Then it
becomes a vicious circle.
It becomes a vicious circle. We're suggesting that actually credit agreements should have health warnings. And that might sound slightly outrageous, but actually what it is, it's to really show people that there are other impacts that can happen, not just financial.
Well, and on that note, I mean, the payday loans company are keen to point out that not everybody who gets a loan is vulnerable and there is some protection in place. But then again, from the research you've done, the people who are taking these loans out often aren't asked that difficult question of whether they do have any mental issues that need to be looked at before the loan is given. Is that right?
And the thing to remember is that credit is really useful. It's a really important thing. It's, you know, it really helps people. There's nothing wrong with
Well, it's a
credit.
necessity, isn't it, for lots of people?
You don't know what's coming down the line. If your washing machine suddenly breaks, you know, you need a bit of help with that. That's not the problem. The problem is that there is an unfair deal going on. It's not just about whether people are vulnerable or not. It's not fair enough. And that there is an alternative. There are companies out there who are trying to do everything they can to bring the price of borrowing down and to be more responsible about whether it's right for you to have credit at the moment. And they can work with you about what your needs are, maybe give you support and advice in a different way. It's just those companies are really small. And that's a big part of what we're trying to talk about is how do we support those? How do we get more people to know about it?
And it's actually, it's one thing for wealthy people to have a financial advisor, but actually the most important people to have a financial advisor are people who are in trouble and need help. So just very quickly, I mean, I know it's a minefield, but what is an all right amount?
So there's two aspects to that. So there's two aspects. One is that one of the problems I've found in dealing with this area is that people have got a bit scared because it can't become perfect overnight. We can't get it to the level that we would like it to get, even with the companies who we would call doing a fairer finance deal. So because of that, people tend to back off from it and go, well, it's still going to be a bit high, isn't it? So we're talking about, instead of high-cost credit, if we can't go straight to low-cost, maybe we can deal with mid-cost and, you know, make it a bit better tomorrow so we can keep going. So rather than talking about an actual figure, we're talking about two things. So there's the price of borrowing, the APR that people talk about, but there's also the responsible nature of the relationship between the lender and the borrower. If the lender is taking your needs as a borrower into account and what you can deal with, and if credit isn't the right option for you at the time, if they can see you're going to get into trouble, then to offer support and advice to help them with that. So that's the responsible nature of it. And then the fair nature of it is to bring that price of borrowing down. And the more people go and support these smaller companies, the more the price can come down, you know, because they're not for profit. That's the thing. These companies, the smaller ones, are not making profits to go to shareholders or to big, you know, fat cat bonuses and all that. All the money they make goes back into the company in order to bring that price down for you, for your borrowing, to get a fairer deal.
Well, Sherry, thanks for coming in, and you're not going to leave us there, are you, Michael? You're going to stay with us for the rest of the show, but we'll move on for now. Thanks very much indeed. Now, 5 years ago, we showed you these scenes as houses collapsed in the coastal village of Hemsby. Now, you might have seen on the news, it's happening all over again.
Well, David Whiteley was there for us the first time around, and he's gone back to see why Hemsby has been left so exposed.
The last time I was here in Hemsby for the One Show, I saw 3 houses disappear into the sea. And this weekend, there have been really high tides and a strong easterly wind that has battered this coastline. And look at that house there. That's just one of 13 that are teetering on the brink of catastrophe. So I've come back to find out what's happening to stop it. Lorna Bevan-Thompson, the co-founder of Save Hemsby Coastline, runs the Lake on Arms. You've been here since the 70s. How much of the coastline have you seen change in that time?
It's entirely different. We've lost at least 300 metres of our beach now. In the 80s, we lost countless houses on the dunes. We've done it 5 years ago with a surge. It's happened again now. Why is nobody stepping in to help us?
But the problem isn't just confined to Hemsby, is it?
No. We've got barely half a kilometre up on our coastline here, a gap through to Long Beach. If it gets into there, it will flood straight through to Winterton, through from Winterton to Somerton, into the Norfolk Broads. Then where's all the tourism for the Broads?
We see these houses disappearing, but it's very easy to forget they're actually people's homes. When you look up inside, you can see all their belongings. You know, a teapot lying on the sand dune. I'm going to meet one of the residents who can no longer live here, and sadly, he's been preparing for this day for a very long time.
If you have a look at the blocks out there, that was where the back of my garden was Friday. Tons of sand there, just disappeared like that to the North Sea.
I do remember how stoic you were the last time I filmed with you, but now you're resigned to the fact that you're homeless.
I am homeless, yeah.
The Environment Agency has clear guidelines on this widespread problem.
This is one of the fastest eroding coastlines in the whole of Europe, actually, around Norfolk and this area in particular. So our role is to look at the schemes that will be put forward by the local authority at Hemsby and to see whether they justify public funding from us. And in doing that assessment, we'll look at whether the scheme is going to do the job that it should do, whether it's going to last, and whether it is a good value for money for the public purse. But primarily, it's based on the number of households that it will protect, judged against the cost of the actual scheme.
The government may say that to defend Hemsby from the sea would just be far too expensive.
We've got 5,600 people in the village. 70% of those rely on seaside tourism. We've got Great Yarmouth down the road that relies on us feeding them business. We've got the whole of Norfolk waiting for our customers to go out and spend money with them. All these people that has a knock-on effect with, their way of life will go if we don't get protected.
This is just devastating to see this.
That is horrible.
I can't believe this, having been here before.
Yeah.
Can we go in here, Paul?
No, you can't go in there at all. It's a timber frame floor with joists underneath, and underneath there's no foundations. No, so any time you go in there, it could just snap. Gone. We've gone. Yes.
So when we leave here, this could be the very last time that.
I probably will do. Yeah, probably the last time. I'm just getting my last bits and pieces now, and that would be the end of 199 tomorrow. A bit heartbreaking, really, but yeah, it brings sort of like, you know, now you're talking about it now, Dave, and I think I've got to walk away from my building. Me and Lizzie bought this, and we thought we'd be here for the rest of our lives. I got 8 years. I thought it was going to get 18, 19, but no, it's finished now.
Well, the sad news is for Paul, that was actually the last time that he will be there because the houses are going to be demolished by the end of next week.
Nicholas, coming up to the first anniversary of your first professional fight. Now, since then, you've won every single one, haven't you?
Yep.
All 3 of them?
Yep.
Who have you got in view next, then? Who would you like to take on?
Anyone, like
all those people are going to be at home thinking,
yeah, like
yeah, please don't say me. Don't say me.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to hopefully going for a world title shot at the end of this year.
Right.
And I think there's 4, so I'm looking for them to volunteer. I've called a few of them out already, and it's been basically silence. So
I bet it's been silence.
But when you say you've called them out, well, how does that work? How do you call someone
so
out?
I've been on Twitter and Instagram, and I've said, you know, I want one of these world titles, the WBO, IBF, WBC, and nobody's come forward. But
yeah, odd that.
Do you ever say, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough?
Do you know what? I might have to do that.
Yeah.
I might say, maybe I can do it now. Like, which camera are we on?
I just call people.
To be honest with you, we've got a link up to the rest of the
If you
world.
think you're hard enough.
Yeah. There you go.
Very well, Nicola. I mean, you're 35 now, so what's kind of the dream? What's the vision as far as the rest of the career is concerned? And when do you expect? I mean, do you feel like you're in your prime now?
Yeah,
or?
I feel like I'm in my prime now, but I want to unify all the belts, get all the titles, and after that, I'll have achieved, you know, everything I want to do in the professional boxing world, and then I want to go on to hopefully do some acting.
Oh.
Maybe join this fellow here.
Yeah, well, I like she throws it in there.
Yeah.
Do some acting.
Funny enough, I feel like I'm in my prime as well.
Do some boxing.
We're peaking together.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a clip of you, weirdly, doing some fighting in Home Again.
It's like being on the One
Now,
Show.
Nicola, have a look at this, right?
Yeah.
And afterwards, you can assess his performance. Here we go.
Man up and tell me! Tell me! You know what? We're better off without you. We? What are you even saying?
Not bad.
It's not bad.
Oh, you caused yourself a bit of pain, didn't
It's
you?
a painful memory. That exact moment when you see me going is when I tore my ACL. The bone came out. The bone came out.
Michael.
Yeah, and then I fell down and it went back in again. I had to have surgery. I was off work for 6 months.
Oh, dear me.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that, everyone.
Well, talking about people watching the One Show, the maid from the hotel was watching a bit earlier on, and she sent this over. There you are, as a Barbie, and it's a great likeness. It's a great likeness.
It is good, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about sport relief then, Nicola, because for this year they've got 6 people, I mean amateurs, not even amateurs, people who've never boxed before, celebrities fighting in boxing matches. You're going to be commentating. Tell us a bit about how this is going to work then and who's taking part.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really exciting. I'm going to be not in the ring for once. I'm going to be on the sidelines, just talking about everybody that's competing. It's all the matches are going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I won't like to say who's going to win each one. Well, I haven't seen any of the training yet, so.
Well, we've got Helen Skelton up against Camilla Thurlow.
So Helen, and I've seen some of Helen because she's been putting it on social media. I mean, she's been training loads, and she's a real tough cookie, Helen, not
Helen
to be messed with.
Yeah. And then we've got Vanessa from the Saturdays up against Hannah from S Club 7.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we've
the
got
bands.
And then, as far as the men are concerned, we've got Spencer Matthews versus Wayne Bridges. Now, who do you think, just at first glance?
Who's the one to watch? Which fight?
I can't really say, you know. It's a tough one. You never know until they step through those ropes and get in the ring. There's a lot of mental work at play as well when you get through the ropes. There's the nerves.
How many rounds are they doing?
I think is it two rounds?
I don't know.
I don't know.
2 rounds, right? Oh well.
Well, you'll be able to see those celebrity boxing fights on Sport Relief on Friday night. And there's also a Football Heroes Strictly special. We all love a bit of Strictly.
Yeah, and also we're now going to have a little exclusive look at John Bishop's Sport Relief sketch. He's trying to inspire the England football team to World Cup glory with a bit of help from Jeff Hurst. Sir Jeff Hurst, I should say.
Come here. Boys, what do you do? What's all that about? Have you seen what Sir Jeff Hurst did when he scored a hat-trick in the World Cup final? A little skip, a little hug off you, mate. We don't need any fancy handshakes, no knee slides.
And definitely no dabs.
So do you promise no more elaborate celebrations?
Yeah, we promise. Good promise. Cheers.
Can't help yourself, can you?
If you want to be a World Cup winner like me, you've got to focus on it. No fancy stuff, OK? Just focus on the football and get the job done.
That's it, Sir Jeff. I think your work's done here. Thanks, mate.
OK. Cheers, John.
Ledge.
Good. You're going to be there, aren't you?
We are.
Got the mums there?
Myself and the mums are having a night out at Sport Relief. Here we are. Now to meet two men who have had a personal battle on their hands as they take part in a remarkable exercise to get others to really understand their condition.
I was starting to get this really strong sense of something untoward in my peripheral vision.
When I looked in the mirror, it'd be like this haggard, tired, beaten up old man.
Body dysmorphic disorder and psychosis are two very different mental health problems, but they share a common link. Both impact a person's perceptions, in one case of self-image, and in the other, of the world around them. Dr. David Kropazke suffers from psychosis. For him, this was an issue for many years.
I started seeing and hearing things when I was a teenager. Nothing prepares you for that. The experience I remember most and strongest is the cloud. It was a kind of dark, brooding thundercloud there in my lounge, trying to explain what are described to me as my psychotic episodes. It's quite difficult and frustrating to articulate.
Omari suffered from body dysmorphic disorder, or BDD, for 10 years and experienced many of the same frustrations as David.
When I look in the mirror and I talk about seeing, big, kind of fat, puffy bags under my eyes and kind of redness and inflamed eyelids and all this sort of thing, that is literally what I see. At my lowest point, I was suicidal and I didn't see myself ever getting better. I felt very lonely and desperate to have somebody understand me.
One of the main frustrations for David and Omari is others not understanding what they go through. So, for the first time, we're going to bring to life what they experience with the help of special effects company Rushes.
We figured quite a nice kind of living room environment might be a good starting point. So it'd be really useful to give us some sort of insight of how the cloud would actually look when it's in the room and how it manifests itself.
So more jagged than you typically think of as a...
Not a cumulonimbus, sort of fluffy, sort of nice summer's day cloud.
Almost a cross between a thundercloud during lightning and a sort of jagged glass broken edge feel. It got to the point where it was so frightening, I ran away.
Omari also briefs Andy on his experience.
The main perception is of really big bags under my eyes. On a particularly bad day, then I feel as though I look like I've gone a couple of rounds with Mike Tyson. The person that I see is actually looks repulsive to me. I'm nervous, I'm anxious, but I know that if I can deal with that, then I can kind of deal with all the smaller things that happen day in, day out.
Suck out all the colour.
Yeah.
So it really gives you that horror show moment, something that's really quite scary. Well, that's great.
3 weeks later, work on the special effects is complete. For David and Amari, today will be the first time they'll see a visual representation of what has previously only existed in their minds.
So the moment of truth, the grand unveiling. Should we play the sequence? Have a look.
That's very impressive. It gets that sort of threatening cloud essence. This happened to me 25 years ago, but you can live through it. There is life after these things. It's not a life sentence.
Amari arrives with mum, Sue Kai, who today will see for the first time what her son has experienced for so many years.
Come in, have a sit down. So I think what we'll do then is show what we've created.
It's scary. It's really scary.
I think the thing we've created is an extreme perception.
That, to me, is monstrous.
When I understood that you had, the BDD and it was to do with your eyes, obviously I couldn't see what the issue was because, to me, you're my beautiful boy.
There was so much difficulty in me being able to kind of communicate what my experience was. It's great to kind of be sitting here and actually not having it be a secret anymore.
You don't have to carry around the shame.
Well, Amari joins us now. Welcome. How accurate, then, was the image that we saw there that they'd created? Was that what you were seeing when you were looking in the mirror, or is that a more dramatic version, maybe?
Yeah, definitely a more dramatic version. I think in the worst times, when I kind of first started, like the first couple of years of dealing with body dysmorphia, probably closer to that. But definitely sitting there when I saw that, it really took me aback. It was like, wow. Like I say in the VT, that's like really is monstrous.
Yeah. And has it helped you in any way to see that? Because, I mean, you can tell yourself that you don't obviously look like that as you see it kind of reverse the process. So does that help you cope with it?
It definitely does. And even watching it back now, because it's the first time I've seen it in a little while, it kind of helps me see again how different my perception is in my head, right, from what the reality is. It helps me kind of, if I do go into the mirror and experience anything kind of negative, I've kind of got, there's something that I can kind of switch on and kind of go, yeah, but actually, doesn't look like that.
Yeah, it must have been a huge relief, though, for your mum, because obviously it's very hard, isn't it, to describe what you're seeing. So for her to have an image in front of her that she could then understand, I mean, has that helped move your relationship forward or take it to a new stage?
Yeah, it was so important because we had, about 10 years of her desperately wanting to understand. Of course, she's my mum, but just really struggling because she's my mum.
Yeah.
And her being able to see almost through my eyes what I kind of deal with was really healing for us. And it's just, now we can just kind of... It's fun, now we just don't really need to talk about it anymore. It doesn't come up because there's not that kind of resistance.
Yeah. And you mentioned the early years and how extreme it was then. When was the first time it happened and what do you think the trigger was?
Yeah, I remember it really clearly. So I'm 15 years old and, the irony is that I actually thought I could be a model. I wanted to be a model.
You could be.
Yeah, I wanted to be, right?
You should have been.
I should have been. Yeah, I really like that. And so my dad got me a photo shoot, a surprise photo shoot for my 16th birthday. Yeah. And it's the morning of the photo shoot, and all of a sudden, I'm just, gripped by this fear. And I lock myself in my family bathroom, and I can see it. I'm standing there, and I'm, like I do in the video, I'm pulling out my skin and feeling really, hideous and just beating myself up. And I take my mum's makeup bag for the first time, and I'm, rifling through it, and I find some, I don't know, concealer, foundation, something. And I'm this 15-year-old knowing no idea what I'm doing and trying to put this makeup on because I'm really clear that there's no way I can leave the house if I don't. Literally, people will laugh at me, and there's no way I can stand in front of a camera without trying to do something.
Right.
So is the trigger, then, you think, when you needed to feel at your most confident, that's when it started plaguing you? And did that continue? Did you see a pattern then right up until, well, still now, I guess?
Yeah, totally.
So how are you dealing with it then? You still have the condition, even though it's a lot better.
Yeah, I think, in the past, there were specific triggers, that needing to be good looking because I'm about to go to a photo shoot, right? when I went to university, and suddenly, you know, I want to be the man about town, and I want to look good, you know, and all those sort of things which kind of get mixed up with teenage years as well. And now, but, you know, if I think about this today, right, and I know I'm coming on national TV, I'm going to be on the sofa and all that sort of things, and it's just like any other day, you know, I sort of go, OK, I might, you know, I had a shave, you know, well, that was about it, you know, because I kind of really get that. I don't need to kind of have that obsessiveness anymore.
No.
Yeah, well, thanks ever so much for coming on to talk about it.
Yeah,
It was a fascinating film, it really was. And if you have been affected by what we've been speaking about here, or you've watched David in the film as well, then please do go to our website if you'd like more information and some support.
Now, whilst we have one of the biggest names in British boxing beside us here, let's celebrate another sporting hero, a two-wheeled speed demon who crashed his way onto the evening news back in the 70s.
Yeah, here is his son, Freddie, and Michael, he's got a very familiar surname, this guy. Here we go.
My father, Barry Sheen, was quite the sporting icon in the UK, but growing up in Australia, I didn't quite realise how famous he actually was. Friends would say, you know, how much of a great motorcycle rider he was. Dad won the championship 2 years in a row in 76 and 77.
I like to win every race that I ride in, be a world champion, be known generally as the best motorcycle racer there's ever been.
It was the peak of his career. That was well before I was born. He was a bit of a character, and my mum was actually a Vogue model. And when they got together, people actually said that they were the posh and becks of the day. He was quite a strong character. Along with that comes some, you know, some cheeky times, I guess. We had all sorts of interesting people staying at the house, and one of them was George Harrison, you know, the Beatles, like I hadn't even heard of them.
My sister and I had the greatest childhood. When I was 3, the whole family was there for my birthday. When I turned 5, he gave me my first motorbike. You couldn't get me off the thing.
Dad was quite notorious for his big crashes, so one of the side effects of that, you get pins, rods in your legs, and he actually would set off metal detectors in the airports. I've travelled down to the East Midlands today to see one of his favourite tracks, Donington. Wow, look at that, eh? 40 years on, Suzuki have brought down the 77 bike. This is the bike that Dad won the World Championship on. The bike has actually been restored by Martin Ogborn, who was Dad's original mechanic. God, you've definitely worked your magic. This is the best condition I've seen it in.
Yeah, I mean, the rebuild that we did, we got that down to 600 hours, but we could have carried on for another 2 or 3 months. You're actually almost like restoring a masterpiece. If you change the part, it's not a masterpiece anymore. It's like repainting the Mona Lisa.
I competed in 2 professional races myself, but I never thought that I was going to go on to be the next Barry Sheen. It was just something fun for me. Now it's my turn. Get to have a go on this today and go have some fun.
Freddie clearly knows the heritage that Barry has. There's nothing wrong with his riding, he just never really pursued it. The crash was probably what made Barry famous. I mean, it's ridiculous, really, getting famous through beating yourself up, but the cameras were rolling at the time. He fell off at 175 miles an hour, got all smashed up, and they screwed him back together again, and he came back to make double world champion. So there wasn't much that stopped Barry Sheen. He was very resilient and a very tough guy, but then unfortunately cancer got him. That was the awful thing about it.
It was quite an emotional experience for me to be on the same tracks that he raced so many years ago. My dad actually was quite superstitious, so, you know, he loved the number 7, so he had this on his bike, even on his ring. Now, to his home from home, where he stayed when he was racing at the track. Dad always wanted a room number that added up to 7. This one didn't, but Dad liked the look of this room, and he was able to get the manager to screw a number 1 on there. There's the screw holes, and then from then on, that was his room. My dad was quite pedantic about a lot of things in life, but his hair was probably one of the biggest. He had his little brush and hair dryer. He always took it with him. It had to be the right one, otherwise it was going to be a bad hair day.
I think you went down.
Now for a quick pit stop with some of Dad's colleagues and good old friends.
Freddie doesn't know that we know it's his birthday today, so we've surprised him with a cake.
Oh, check that out.
Okay, this cake is from everyone from Donington.
Oh, thank you very much. It's great to see that Dad's still remembered, and you know, it happens to fall on my birthday as well, so I'm really proud. Thanks, guys.
Ah, thank you, Freddie. Lovely film, that.
Yeah.
Must be good there to see your uncle in action.
That's right. When I was growing up, I used to tell everyone that Barry Sheen was my uncle. He's not. And one day, I heard the paperboy come into the house, and my dad was going to pay the paperboy, and the paperboy said, "So, Barry Sheen's your brother, is he? That's what your son's saying." I thought, "Oh, no, the gig is up. My dad's got." And my dad went, "Yeah, that's right."
Get in, Dad. Get in. Brilliant. Well, apparently there's a biopic of him coming out next year. Come on. You've got to play him.
I'm in my prime.
You'd be perfect, wouldn't you? We could see that. Yeah. But
I've got about as many pins in my legs.
Well, yeah. But that's the thing. I mean, you have obviously specialised in that. Oh, part of your career was playing so many real folk. You must just enjoy drilling down into what makes people tick.
I do. I've loved it, and
Yeah.
I've loved the challenge when I've done those parts of people knowing who it is.
Yeah.
So you know, people expect.
Oh, that's
certain
hard,
things. I know, but it's scary. It gets the old heart going. But then you can sort of play around with it. You know, you can play around with it. So I've enjoyed that bit of it.
And you've just finished Good Omens for BBC, haven't you?
That's right.
So for those not sort of familiar with the book, tell us a bit about what we can expect then.
It's about an angel and a demon who first meet in the Garden of Eden when Adam and Eve get expelled from the garden, and who become friends over the whole of history until modern day, where they sort of work together now instead of being enemies, and they have to stop the apocalypse. It's a comedy. And David Tennant plays the demon, and I play the angel, and so I had to have bleached blonde hair for 6 months to do it. Underneath this brown hair is bleached blonde hair still.
Well, that ruins your hair, Michael.
Oh, Alex.
I hope you've got a good conditioner. That's all I can say.
I just wash and go. Oh, no, and there are other products that you can use on your hair.
And the filming for that is all finished then, so there's no part in it for Nicola.
Oh,
but,
no, unfortunately not.
Let's get back to this acting then, and this little hope of doing a bit of acting. What kind of roles do you fancy doing?
Oh, I'd love to do a superhero. Maybe even a villain, you know, total contrast of styles. You know, I'm quite friendly.
You're
and
too
nice,
smiley for a villain, Nicola. Come on now.
Yeah. Have you got a plan then? I mean, drama school or acting lessons or something like that?
I'm doing acting lessons currently, so who knows? You know, next couple of years.
And if
maybe a boxing, superhero.
Well, there might well be a film of your life in years to come. I mean, there's no reason why not. Who could Michael play in your film?
Oh, well, seeing his actions on the TV earlier, I definitely think he could be my coach.
Yes.
Show me
I
some
could be the
moves.
grizzled old wily coach.
Yeah, that would work.
Come on, Nicola, come on.
And at the moment, you're planning for a wedding? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. How is it all going? Is it all going?
So. It keeps getting delayed because...
Yeah, I'm sure, because life is busy.
We both box, so we're having problems trying to get a date. We get a date, and then we have a competition coming up, so it's being moved.
So how fiery is like an argument in your house, Nicola?
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. As long as there's
no punch-ups.
No, there's no fist flying about.
No. Are you able to stay quite calm in like arguments, or do you get a little bit feisty?
No, can't do it. Can you imagine the sale of the house? We started fighting.
Well,
Avengers.
If you need any relationship advice, we are now
we've got
moving on to
tons
these
of
lovely little
people.
agony aunts, aren't we? Because we met them earlier on, and in a moment we're going to be asking the stars of a new BBC series called The Secret Helpers for all of their wonderful advice.
Yeah. Now, this series helps people during some of the toughest weeks of their lives by giving them access to the wisdom of strangers, as Matt said, from all over the world.
Hi, Dan. Can you hear me?
We know.
Joined now by Dan, Susie, and 4-month-old Henry.
Who takes after his dad, doesn't he?
Oh, look at him. He's so well behaved. Welcome, and congratulations, of course, on the wedding. So this is a mad concept, isn't it? You know, how much did it... Well, first of all, Dan, why did you feel that you needed help then in the run-up to your wedding?
I didn't, to be honest. I got involved via some work that I was doing voluntarily to promote the Stroke Association.
Yeah.
And the BBC got in touch with them, and they were looking for people to come on this show who'd been through a difficult time and were facing a significant event in their life. And they chose us.
So you felt that maybe the stress of planning, because it is a stressful thing, planning for a wedding, you thought the stress might have an impact on you, which would mean that you wouldn't make it then to stand at the altar on the day, potentially.
Yeah, I was concerned that we'd had such a hard few months since my strokes. And I just didn't want that stroke to be visible on our wedding day. I wanted to be able to stand up there and, you know, you couldn't see it. It was just about us, not about that event. So, and the idea of the Sages was kind of dropped in at the nth hour when the cameras were all set up. The producer said, "Can you just put this thing in your ear?"
Yeah.
And that's when I found out what the concept was. So.
And so the Sages, they are the voices in your... And you hadn't seen any photos. They were literally just people's voices that were coming
Just
to
voices,
you at random
total
times.
complete strangers, yeah, random.
And what was the best bit of advice that you heard down that earpiece on the day?
The best bit of advice on the day, I was very nervous about doing my speech. Obviously, the day was going to take a toll on me, and I was concerned that I was going to get in a muddle. So the two New York cops, Mark and Joe, kind of said, "Remember, it's a room full of your friends and family. They all love you. They're not going to judge you, however it goes."
Yeah.
And the other bit of advice they gave me was, "Put your jacket on," which just sounds
good.
random. But,
Yeah.
it kind of struck a chord with me, and before I went and did my speech, I put my jacket on, and it's like putting your armour on. You flick into that mode, this is what I'm going to do, and it gives you confidence, and it really worked.
And hides the sweat patches.
It does, yeah.
Well, 5 of the agony aunts are all with us tonight. There's New York cops, Mark and Joe, Italian husband and wife, Gennaro and Chiara, and Lillian, the lifestyle guru in Norway. So we've had lots of viewers' problems and questions in, which we're going to put to the agony aunts now.
Lillian, this one comes from Christina. And she's saying, "I'm having a midlife crisis. Do I give up a well-paid but stressful job to train as a yoga teacher with the aim of working with people suffering from depression, or do I stay safe in my current job and train slowly over a few years?"
I don't know. I say get the hell out of your comfort zone and go for the yoga training and getting a different profession that you really love and can sink your teeth into and feel inspired.
Well, it's worked for Lillian.
Life is too short to be in a job that you don't really love.
Good. Right. Now then, next one's from Rachel to Chiara and Gennaro. This is a good one. Should we stick to white wine with white meat and red wine with red meat? Or is it okay to have a Chardonnay with red meat?
Really, she should stick with the white wine on the white meat and red wine on the steak, because the steak is too structured, heavy, and the red wine is important because it cleans the palate. And it's too light, the wine, for a steak. So I would really stick on what she was doing before.
I'd just go with a rosé for everything.
I just go with what's in the cupboard, and I'm grateful.
OK. Right, Mark and Joe, we're coming to you now. We're going to New York. This is from Flick. Flick says, "I'm doing a nursing degree, but it's not going so well. There are so many other things that I would like to do, like join the police. Should I give up nursing and pursue other opportunities, or should I stick with nursing until the bitter end?" What do you think, lads?
Well, let's see. Flick, we're going to trade bedpans for bullets. My daughter's in nursing school right now, and it's a difficult path. But I don't know how far along you are in the process. But I think I'd stick it out. Nursing's a very noble profession, much like police work. What do you think, Joe?
Both of them are very undesirable most of the time, equally. Where your passion is where you should go.
Yeah, that's
Find
good
your
advice.
passion and follow it.
Good, good. A really quick one then for Chiara and Gennaro. This is from Eugenie. This is a dodgy one. "My boyfriend Stuart hasn't taken me out on a date where he has paid. We've been together for nearly 3 months. Should I be worried? He has got a good job."
Well, honestly, Eugene, I think a woman doesn't have to expect that the man pays all the time. But we also love the romance of a man taking us out for dinner and invite us for dinner. At least invite home and prepare a nice meal, dinner, and a romantic dinner. But I would expect sometime that he pays. Really.
There we are.
Yeah, sometimes he pays, sometimes she pays. You know. When we go for lunch, Matt pays.
The Secret Helpers is on straight after the show tonight after us. It's on at 8 o'clock over on BBC Two if you'd like to see more from those lovely people. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank
Good
you so
night.
much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to Dan, Susie and baby Henry as well. He's behaved impeccably, isn't he? Now, Matt Allwright's back on his A to Z of Britain. Tonight he's visiting the birthplace of the finest Welsh actor there is. Right, Michael?
Well, clearly
Yes.
Port Albert, then.
Clearly.
For the letter N, I'm en route to the Gateway of South Wales. It hosted the Ryder Cup and the last NATO summit.
And N is for Newport in Gwent. That's important because there's another one.
It's a grizzly wet day, but I'm heading to where world leaders stay when they come to Newport, the famous Celtic Manor Resort.
One of the things that I remember the most was the arrival of President Obama.
Obama stayed here?
This very lodge, yeah.
This is the presidential bedroom. Comfy. Get Angela Merkel on the phone. Angela, we're having a barbecue. Come over. Yeah. No, we've got loads of Frankfurters.
Sadly, this is out of my price range, so it's into town to see if the locals can recommend anywhere to stay and a spot for lunch.
There's not enough in Newport Town Centre, variety-wise.
There's not that many places here in Newport, I think, now.
So if you do think of something, just pop back and see me.
Yes.
I might at that stage be in the chip shop. If it comes to that.
That's probably about your best bet.
The chippy it is, then.
Established 1888. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Alan.
How have you managed to keep a family business selling fish and chips going for all those years?
With great difficulty.
And you do curry sauce?
We give you 3 curry sauces.
3 curry sauces?
Yeah.
And table service too. Perfect pit stop to dry myself and the camera out.
That's the fruity curry sauce. That's the Chinese curry sauce. That clearly mushy peas, not guacamole. And this one is?
Irish.
That's the Irish curry. Thank you so much. I like that. Irish curry. I've never been anywhere other than Newport that has a chip shop serving 3 different types of curry sauce. So that is a win for Newport.
Alas, it's still raining. The local record shop. That'll keep me dry for an hour or so, and I do love vinyl. It turns out that a Newport musical legend hangs out here too. It's Graham the Bear from Goldie Looking Chain.
How are you? I'm very, very well. My goodness.
I just had to dress down.
Yeah, you've muted the colours
I
for
had
this
to get
one.
less colours on. I should get you in a tracksuit. I've got a spare one.
Get it on. I'm going to briefly be a member of the Goldie Looking Chain.
Hatchback 5-door sedan will never have the length and girth of my van. If you want a real man, then you knows it's me.
Well, that was kind of awesome. Look. Now, I've got to find somewhere to stay.
La Buan Guest House. The picture looks good, 5 stars on TripAdvisor, and according to one review, Welsh breakfast cooked to perfection.
Hello there. I was wondering if you had any rooms for tonight at all.
Tonight?
See you then.
First time lucky.
How you doing? I'm Matt.
I'm Mark, how'd you do?
Yeah, good stuff. Shall I come in?
Yeah, come on in.
Thank you very much.
There we go.
Fantastic. What time's breakfast in the morning?
Between 7 and 9.
Perfect.
Good morning, everyone. Breakfast is in exactly as requested. 2 sausage, 1 bacon. Oh, 2 fried eggs. 3 sauces. Wherever you go in Newport, you're going to get 3 sauces.
Oh, joy. The weather's no better than yesterday. But that will not stop me as I conquer a small section of the Wales coast path. It's pretty deserted, though. Ah, a sign.
Snack shop.
I need coffee. Is this the right place? It looks like someone's house to me.
Look at your mugs. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Wendy.
Could I get a cup of coffee, please? White, no sugar.
Yes, of course you can.
This is just a bit of your house.
Yes, the spare bedroom.
Look, we've got a tray of cakes there.
This was my husband's garage.
So you've just converted it?
Yes.
Has he got any garage left?
He's got a little bit.
Yeah, but that's going to go eventually, isn't
Yeah.
it? Well, listen, thank you so much for having
You're
us.
very welcome.
Well, Newport, what can I say? You've been wet, but you've been warm, proving once again that what matters is not places,
but faces, lovely people.
Matt all right, the tracky top, looking good. That's almost it for tonight. A big thank you to Michael and Nicola for joining us this evening. Thank you.
Tomorrow with Sir Tim Rice, but before then, from her debut album, Speak Your Mind, here's Anne-Marie singing Friends, her latest single with Marshmello. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
You say you love me, I say you crazy. We're nothing more than friends. You're not my lover, more like a brother. I know you since we were like 10. Yeah, don't mess it up, talking that it's only gonna push me away. That's it. When you say you love me, that made me crazy. Don't go look at me with that look in your eye. You really ain't going away without a fight. You can't be reasoned with them, don't be impolite. I told you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 times. Haven't I made it obvious? Haven't I made it clear? Want me to spell it out for you? F-R-I-N-D-S. Have you got no shame? You looking insane, turning up at my door. It's 2 in the morning, the rain is pouring. Haven't we been here before? Don't mess it up, talking that it's only gonna push me away. That's it. Have you got no shame? You looking insane. Don't go look at me with that look in your eye. You really ain't going away without a fight. You can't be reasoned with them, don't be impolite. I told you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 times. Haven't I made it obvious? Haven't I made it clear? Want me to spell it out for you? F-R-I-N-D-S, yeah. F-R-I-E-N-D-S, that's how you spell friends. F-R-I-E-N-D-S, get that inside your head. No, no, yeah, F-R, we're just friends. So don't go look at me with that look in your eye. You really ain't going away without a fight. You can't be reasoned with them, don't be impolite. I told you 1, 2, 3, yo. Haven't I made it obvious? Haven't I made it clear? Want me to spell it out for you? F-R-I